Hello, this is the walkthrough for the Week 1 lab, which is research in the scientific method. So you won't see the faculty materials, but it just has the same thing, just ugly and unformatted. So I have formatted the lab for you so it's more APA-like instead of the horrendous thing it is otherwise. And then there's also the lab rubric, okay? So let's look at what the research formatted lab is going to look like. You would download it, it would appear. I'll go pull it. Okay, well, I lied. I decided let's look at the rubric first. So you'll notice these labs are always going to be due on Sunday. This is so you have a full day to work with your team on any team projects, which all begin in week 2. Now, content, it's pretty much just going to be equally divided for most of the labs. So having your observations is a point. Exercise 1 is going to be a point. Exercise 2, if you get something wrong, it's probably going to be about 1/10 of a point off for whatever you get wrong. Unless if you skip something completely, that will bother me more and you'll get slightly more off. Right? Make sure you have a title page. Use complete sentences, use grammar. You try to be APA when possible. Don't color code things. Just fill it, click, type your answer in. It should stay pretty much the same. And keep those, like I said, full reference citation for at least the lab and 1 in-text citation. You'll find a lot of times in the results section or the question section, there will be something that really leads itself toward having a citation in outside research or just referring back to the lab. Okay, give me a second and I will pull up the lab. Okay, so here's where you're going to type your title page. It's not too major, so you remember that's the title of the lab, your name, the course number, and the date spelled out. Okay, so down here you'll see you have a table, and here you're going to follow what it tells you to do and just check off for each person. This is one that I recommend you post your results in the assignments as a reply to the message that I left there that just says what you have, so we can get a pretty decent number, because most of us don't have 50 people we can ask, and it just gives you more. Then from that lab you will fill in this stuff. It's pretty much just a total. Find the percent. You know, if you have 100 people, that's really easy to find the percent. If you have 50, you just multiply it by 2. So that's also makes life a little easier. Then we'll do this. Make sure you figure it out for each thing, right? So what's the right-handed and right-thumbed? And they're just going to have you add the sucker. So if it's right-handed, right thumb, plus left-handed, left thumb, you'll stick that over here. The same with the next one. The background examination of the literature, that sounds like something you would cite. Is it convenient? And you would also probably do this one. Would have some great stuff. You know, how would you write it up in math? So you could just say like greater than, less than kind of thing. You can also do this, blah, blah, blah. This is my interview. You can answer this one for yours, or you can just say, how do you know it's a good sample size? Just talk about sample sizes. Also why we were trying to get a few extra. If it's not important to tell subjects what they want before, why don't you want to do that? Combine our percentages. Fun times. Write a paragraph that talks about this. So in a paragraph that just says, here's what I saw, why, kind of thing. And then we get into questions. So what was your hypothesis? Do the data support or refute it? So say my hypothesis was blah, 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 and the data supports or refutes it. You know, depends on what it was. There's an extra space in there. Whatever. Then why should the data for the same-handedness dash thumb and different-handedness thumb be combined? So you talk about why you think that happens, and you just go through, is it meaningful? Did you have enough subjects? Hopefully we'll all get together and share our data, so we'll have a decent amount of subjects, but you know, some studies you want to have like 1,000 people, so you figure it out, determine that. Okay, then we have writing the lab report. So propose a hypothesis, outline the experiment to test it, and use the scientific method to organize the outline. Read a paper in a journal. Identify the parts of the paper that address the aspects of the scientific method. Find the parts that would be considered an abstract, background information, hypothesis, procedure, the data, and conclusion. Did this experiment Include a control. Why or why not was a control necessary? So this is one where you definitely want to cite your paper, right? You're talking all about this. You need to cite the paper so I know what you're talking about. An APA citation. And then verify what you learned. And that's just, what is this? What is that? This is something, since you learned it, you can say it in your own words. If you do feel insecure and you want to use a resource, that's fine too. Just make sure you use in-text citations. Always best not to quote, better to paraphrase, just makes life easier. Can there be more than one hypothesis? Can it be proven? This should all be fine. If you get confused, watch the video. Okay. Oh, this is this thing. Hypothesis, conclusion, theory. So remember, when we're thinking about this, hypothesis is kind of like, I'm going to be able to test this thing. So here's a statement that's testable. The conclusion is, I did some testing and I found this stuff out. A theory is a really big idea that probably took a lot of hypotheses to come up with it, and it's kind of what we've like correlated, not correlated, got all that stuff together and discovered. Okay? And so then they have their little questions. Applications kind of give you a big picture idea, and then you do a little summation. Please do the laboratory summations. They're not always worth any points, but seeing it makes me happy. So that means I will probably be more lenient if something else went wrong. If I don't see it, I'm not happy. So that's basically the walkthrough. Like I said, just make sure you answer every question with full and complete sentences. You'll see there's paragraph marks. So if you just click there and type, like blah, 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 it will keep the format down. Okay, if you highlight it, it may not work. So just click and type. Make sure you do a reference section, so after this you'll hit enter and do your references. A new page. And is there anything else? I think that's all the big stuff. I'm looking at my cheat sheet to make sure. It looks like I get really irritated if there's no in-text citations and no full references. Make sure you include extra graphs extra graphs when needed, a combo table, that kind of stuff. When you're doing it in graphing or tabling, if you don't know how to do it in Word, just don't bother. I mean, the table is insert, and then you would go table and how big you wanted it to be after you've clicked on where you want it to be. A design, you could do shapes, but I would just recommend that for anything that's a graph, that you basically draw it out on a piece of paper with a ruler, make it look pretty, and then take a picture of it and crop it once you put it in here. That will just be the easiest way. Okay, I hope this helped you understand the week 1 lab. Woohoo! This is basically the simplest of the labs because it's just kind of researching and thinking. They're going to get much scarier. Lab classes are always scary. Just take a deep breath, talk to each other, share your observations, the results in your thought process. You might want to keep more to yourself, but just talk it out with other people. Ask me. I do love to review a draft. I have the lovely handy key and answer sheet to all of these, so if you go wrong, I can help you figure out where you should be to get on the right track. And I know it's stressful. Plan to start this stuff early because labs will just freak you out. It's kind of their nature. I hate to say that, but it really is. And then everything else, this week was an individual assignment for the other assignment, but you will have a team assignment. Start on that early, so on Monday, when the labs have already been submitted, you can just kind of piece everything together and make it look really pretty and get full points. Okay, we all want full points. I hope this helped. Bye.